So, a lot of people say that they want to go above and beyond for their clients, but I feel like one thing that we really do well at Shield Advisor Group and Credit Bank is we really do go the extra mile. Whether it's just me speaking with the client and getting to know them better, and then handing them off to our team. So, for example, Lou, why don't you tell everybody about what we do when somebody comes to us with a not so perfect credit score?
That never happens. Well, Matt, like our mantra has always been, we want the proverbial client to drive away from the credit bank lot with the best car they could possibly drive out. But sometimes we need to get from point A to point B. So it's okay to drive out with the sedan to then upgrade to the nice SUV. So sometimes that requires a little credit restoration. Sometimes it requires some credit building, and we'll support them along the process. We've partnered with some elite credit building and credit restoration firms so that when we are ready to pull the trigger on that Cadillac or the SUV, then we're doing so at the best rates possible.
One thing I know we have that nobody else in the marketplace has is we have a chief results officer, Blaine, sitting right here, right? And it's one thing to think you need money for something and get the money, but it's the other thing to change your mindset and flip the switch. And one thing that I've noticed in 200 episodes of our podcast is business owners come on and they say, I want to scale, I want to do this, but they can never let go of the reins, and they wind up micromanaging themselves into having a really miserable job and not actually owning a business.
Matt, it's the single most difficult thing that you and I and our team do on a daily basis. It's like putting together a map, and X marks the spot. The treasure is there, but that business owner needs the discipline to maintain that course.
But listen, I'm glad that's not my job. That's yours. So Wayne, Blaine, tell me, how do you do it? Because I'm a numbers guy. I'm not a mindset guy. So what are some things business owners can look out for or do so they can actually flip that switch and get out of having a job inside the business and working on the business?
Yeah. Great question, Matt and Lou. As when we get started, you can get all the money in the world and the funding and all that. But if your mindset's off or you're overwhelmed and you're not getting results, that's the big difference. Is you've got to step in and be able to get the results. So we have actually lots of different ways to help the business owner through articles, through coaching, to make sure that they are moving forward in the business, getting out of overwhelm and moving forward with their mindset, and get the mindset right and be able to move forward in a lot of different ways.
If it was really that easy, we'd be out of a job, right? If everybody came to us and they were in a perfect position. But truth of the matter is, when people come to us, they're already overwhelmed. They don't know what to do. They feel like they have no way out. When you are a business owner and you get stuck in that situation and you feel that weight on your shoulders, what are a couple of things that they can do to make sure that they can actually get a hold of the situation?
Yeah. So a lot of things that people can do with overwhelm, and some of it is somewhat intuitive, and some of it isn't intuitive. But the first thing you can do, the number one thing you can do, is actually to take a pause, to take a step back, and get everything that's out of your head onto a piece of paper, right? So some people call that mind dumping or brain dumping, but get everything that's running around your head, get it down on a piece of paper. But this is where people go astray, is because then they make the list. They say, Blaine, I made this list. It was 400 items. I'm more overwhelmed now than I was before I started the list. And so last time I did the list, I had 463 items. Here's the key though. You don't stop there. You have to process the list. And this is where you step out of overwhelm and into overdrive, is you process the list based on a period of time. So you might say, okay, look, I've got 400 things on the list, but what has to get done this week? And you process the list very quickly, and you go through and you put an S next to something that needs to be scheduled for this week, right? And then we also use an N if it's something you can do now, less than 5 minutes, D if it's something you could delegate, but L for things that you do later. And most of the list is later. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get that list down to what really needs to be done right away. And then kind of like a bathtub filled with the water of to-dos, right? You have two other options. One is you can increase the size of the drain to get the water to go out faster, right? So you could delegate, outsource, simplify. or you can slow the water coming in, right? And start to, say no. I would say that, there are certain things you should say no to. But you're not. So I often tell people you've got to become Dr. No to get ahead. And if you're worried about getting stuff done, the biggest clue I could give you to getting more done in less time is to take, there's a day, do you guys know, you guys might remember this, the day that people are get 3 to 10 times more stuff done than the normal day.
Oh, that's my favorite Blaine quote.
I know this one too well.
What day is that?
The day you go on vacation.
The day before vacation.
Day before vacation.
So the day before vacation, people get 3 to 10 times as much stuff done, right? So you can bring that into your regular day. What does that look like? Plan, delegate, focus, right? The day before vacation, you plan it out. So plan your day a little bit more, right? Plan your day a little bit more. Delegate. On the day before vacation, somebody asks you to do something, say, no, 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 no. You're really good at delegation. And then third is focus. You have this fierce focus on the day before vacation, and you need that focus here. Because if I asked you, do you believe in the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule? Everybody says yes. And it is real and it works. It might not be exactly 80-20, but it's close. But that means that 4 out of 5 things that you're doing right now don't matter as much as the one thing. So you got to start to focus on the one, and I call that the focus on the 20, and you got to oust the 80. But doing a few of those things right there can bring you right out of overwhelm right away. And you've got the financing now to make your dreams come true, but you've got to do the work to make it happen.
There's so much truth there because listen, we run a business, right? We get overwhelmed. My phone's ringing off the hook. My cell phone's ringing. My wife is screaming at me because of my work from home, right? Something's always going on. There's constant motion around us. But I think a lot of business owners have a hard time taking that first step back. Right? So what is the first thing that you believe that they should focus on how can they press that pause button?
Yeah. I think the best thing you could do is to adopt a keystone habit. So a keystone habit is a habit, it's a small habit that you do every single day. And if you will take that on, that can make a big difference. And so for most business owners, I'm going to ask you to do one thing before you open up your phone. Now, everybody opens their phone every morning. Usually it's the first thing you do. It's the first thing I do.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you develop one habit that's going to help you step back that you're going to do before you open your phone, right? So before you open your phone, it could be you're going to take a few minutes to plan your day, or you're going to take a few minutes just to drop in the priority lens and say, what's the most important thing for me to do today? And maybe you're going to work on that a little bit before you open your phone. But maybe for you, you're really stressed out. So maybe you need a little deep breathing, a little meditation, or maybe it's a little exercise. But there's one thing you can drop in before you open that phone in the morning, and doing that consistently is going to make a big difference. But you got to start somewhere. I'd say start in the morning. You could also get up 30 minutes earlier. That's another quick fix. But doing something, committing to some small little habit before you turn your phone in the morning can pull you out of it.
I think the key is just to start. You're not going to be perfect at first. You're not going to be perfect with anything you try the first time out. The key is just to start and stay as consistent as you possibly can and be persistent about creating that habit for a long time.
It's 100%. And here's the deal. Every morning you wake up, it's the battle of the brain chemistry. You got to win it. So you got to win early, win often. So if, like Matt said, you try something, you say, I'm going to do this for 30 minutes, and you don't do it. The idea is don't give up. Stay consistent. Drop it to 15 minutes. If that doesn't work, drop it to 5. If that doesn't work, drop it to 3. If you have to drop it to 1, I don't like it, but I would do that just to stay consistent, to get the brain chemistry going, to win. You're wired to win. You're designed to win, and you've got to win. And then you build it up from there, right? So some people say, I'm going to exercise every day. And I say, that's great. How much? And they say an hour a day. Okay, try it. But if you're not going to do an hour a day, do 30 minutes. If you can't do the 30, do the 10. If you can't do the 10, give me some push-ups and jumping jacks before you get in the shower. At least you did it. That helps to build the self-confidence in yourself, which is what a lot of business owners need, because you're letting yourself down. You're letting yourself down, and you are, because you schedule it and then you don't do it. You have to stop letting yourself down. You got to start winning as small as you need to. You might have to nano size it, but you can do it.
I'm going to get a lot of crap for this one, but I have a question for you, Lou. There's something about having overreaching goals, but there's also something about having attainable goals, right? So, for example, even in some of our businesses that we have salespeople that come in and say they're going to make $5 million this year. when they've never actually made 100,000, right?
Yeah.
So how do you separate the difference to keep something as overreaching and attainable at the same time?
I think I'm going to go back to one of the quotes that my late grandfather taught us is, when you run, you want to extend your step as far as possible to exceed your gait. You want to go fast, but you don't want to extend yourself too much because then you'll trip and fall. So that's the balance in life, right? And that I think is internal, right? Some of us need tough love. So maybe we'll be a little bit more ambitious, but we also have that internal tenacity to say, okay, I failed, but it's okay. I still got way more than where I started. Others maybe need a little bit more soft love. So maybe those baby steps and those increments help. Guys, we're not here forever, man. I don't know how many at-bats you're going to get. So every once in a while, you got to swing for the fences.
100%. I agree. But it comes back to what Blaine was saying, right? Look, I want to go on a diet. I want to lose 25 pounds next week. It's not going to happen. But if
It's not realistic.
It's not. But if I lost 2 pounds, do I get discouraged? Do I stay consistent? Because if I stay consistent over time, you put in the reps. The more reps you can do, the higher weight you'll lift later on. So I think it's all about consistency and persistence and sticking to it. But again, at the end of the day, it's just about starting.
Yeah.
Matt, while Blaine is here, I need to ask him, because this is the age-old question with small business owners.
Chicken or the egg?
The delegate or not to delegate?
That is the
Right?
question.
No one can do it better than them. They can do it the best. They're the best salespeople. They're the best toilet cleaners. They're the best marketers. They're the best at bookkeeping. How can you create this visceral need to delegate and make them understand, stay focused on operating the business and not having a job in the business?
Yeah, great book, The E-Myth, all about that. You can do anything, but you can't do everything, right? And you have to decide whether you want to grow or whether you want to stay comfortable, right? And I like to say courage over comfort, but you get into running your business and you're not delegating. And I'll tell you, you have to want it enough, to make the step, right? And sometimes you need some outside accountability. You're 3 or 4 times more likely to get your goal if you have outside accountability, especially to someone that you respect or revere. So you can get some accountability. But you also, I like to have people distill it down a little bit, right? Like, can I make it simpler? How can I simplify it, right? How can I automate it? And then the third part is delegate. But you have to start to take some stuff off your plate, because you're just doing those low value tasks. You're never going to get there. You're never going to get there. So again, kind of like Matt said, you got to start. What can you take off your plate? What can you delegate to someone else? And sometimes you got to feel the pain of that delegation is holding you back. And sometimes the goal, why is the goal there? The goal there is to give you motivation and excitement, right? So I like the big goal. I like the stretch goal, but then you have to have milestones along the way, right? But you're going to need to build a team if you're going to build a big business.
Blaine, on that subject, I'd like for you to take a look at my dear partner, Matt. Isn't he looking fantastic for someone that has done 200 episodes of the Liquid Lunch?
That's a lot of liquid lunches.
That's a lot of tequila for him, a lot of Campari for me.
Good thing you can't look at my liver.
So we want to take some time to thank not only our guests, but the audience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on YouTube. And believe it or not, we've hit a milestone, number 200. So we have a little cake. And Blaine, not only are you our Chief Results Officer, you also guest number 58.
I was number 58.
So you get to have the first piece, buddy.
Fantastic. Now, is this like a wedding cake where you push it into my face?
If Matt's going to be the bride, sure, why not?
Look at that.
Let's not make a mess here.
Did our favorite Jenny, did she get us this cake?
She did. Can we
She
get
is-
Jenny on camera?
Yeah, she is the
Jenny, come
bishop
on.
of all
Jenny.
ceremonies here.
Jenny's a little shy.
There you go. Don't worry, Matt. I didn't forget you, partner.
No, I'm good. I'm trying to lose that 25 pounds in a week.
You got to have a little good luck cake.
He's got a piece already. Wow, you really got a system here. Well, I spoke too soon, but you had a system
I
there.
worked in a catering hall when I was 14.
Nice.
What is this toothpick thing called? Does that have a name?
All
It's
right.
very
Well,
festive.
happy 200th episode, gentlemen.
Happy 200.
Happy 200th. Cheers. Cake cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cake cheers.